so it was a lot easier on us.
Yeah. And then the thing with them was they really focused on, it's filmed really, I think it's Grant Gee, an artist, actually directed it, but he'll focus on like an air conditioning unit and the sound it makes in like a hotel room. And then later on in the show, like Tom York's doing an interview with like local fucking Rochester news, and you just hear that, and just pan over to the air conditioner, like, different town, same sound. It's brilliant. And just, it gets so close. And then it'll say in the corner, it'll show them live, like 4-minute bits of live stuff throughout the whole movie. And it'll say show 182. And you're like, this is brutal. You see him going through the Lincoln Tunnel and they're doing phoners and shit. You know, it's really neat. There's a shot of them on a private jet going from like Belgium to Holland. And it's just, they're all pretty close together, like closer than we are now.
Right.
No one's talking. Like, there's no small talk. There's nothing we could hey, how are the kids? No one's, like, I think one guy has, like, a can of Miller Lite. And then everyone, like, no one's reading. No one has iPad, iPhone. No one's got any earbuds in. They're literally just fucking staring straight ahead until we land in Prague or wherever the fuck they're going.
Wow.
Who was your favorite band to open? Watching that show, which band? Metallica probably was your favorite to watch?
Metallica just did this festival down in Atlantic City called Orion Fest. It was basically like their Lollapalooza. So they just put a bunch of bands on that they liked, and they put comedians on. They had me, Don Jameson, that's on the show with me, and Brewer. So there was a comedy stage that we did, and it was about and Lars actually introduced us too, and it was about 8,000 people watched the comedy. It was great.
Yeah?
I had to follow Brewer after he did an hour.
Brewer is...
I was miserable, but it was great because I saw the lineup. I go, what am I going to do? Am I going to tell Metallica, look, can you put me before? You know, they made whatever it was. But so Jameson did a half hour, Brewer did an hour, then I did a half hour after Brewer.
Who do you think is who's an underrated metal band that not like someone we haven't heard of, but someone we have heard of that you go, now you got to go back and check the tapes. These guys have such the real deal, and they never got the cred they deserved. Take your time, Jim. You know, there's too many what ifs when you go to the post office. What if there's traffic or you can't find parking? What if it's closed when you get there? Don't do it. Avoid the hassle. Go to Stamps.com. With Stamps.com, anything you can do at the post office, you can now do from the convenience of your own desk. If you want to take out a gun and go postal, you can do it in your home. That's your prerogative because now you are in charge with Stamps.com. Buy and print official U.S. postage using your own computer and printer whenever you need it, 24/7, 365. And unlike the post office, Stamps.com never closes. We use it here at Fake Mustache Studios. We've saved a grip of money using this, and a lot of convenience got added to our daily lives. Right now, use my last name, Mohr, M-O-H-R, for this special offer. It's a no-risk trial. There's really no reason not to do it. There's a $110 bonus offer, which includes a digital scale to weigh your letters and packages. And let's say one of your balls is smaller than the other.
Yes.
You might want to know how much that little one weighs compared to the larger one, Jim Florentine. You can use the digital scale for that. No one's going to tell you at Stamps.com how to use your digital scale. You can measure whatever you want on it.
I would like to get a right measurement on my sack.
Up to $55 free postage. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com before you do anything else. Click on the radio microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Mohr, M-O-H-R. That's Stamps.com. Enter the code Mohr, M-O-H-R, for your no-risks trial. So metal bands that you think are underrated, metal bands that you think are overrated.
Well, there's a band called Thin Lizzy.
The most underrated.
Most underrated.
Unbelievable.
It's phenomenal songs.
Didn't they write Jailbreak?
Yep.
And AC/DC covered, I had a little too much cold medicine or something, Stripes. AC/DC covers Jailbreak, and it's Bon Scott AC/DC. And
yeah,
it's so amazing. And anytime I'm like, they should be playing the Thin Lizzy version.
The Boys Are Back in Town, they wrote. Those are the two hits, but if you go back and
sorry.
If you go back and listen to their stuff, they were totally under. But, the singer, Phil Lynott, died in, 1985, a heroin overdose.
That's really the key to enjoying your benefits, is staying alive.
If he would have stayed alive, that band would be huge today.
The Bee Gees were onto something when they put out Staying Alive, and then they all just fucking systematically croaked.
I know.
Stupid fucking Aussie pricks. Follow your own advice and stay alive. Blech.
Those Aussie, they live a hard life over there, man.
The Bee Gees? They're
No,
wearing
the
fucking
Aussies,
turtlenecks.
though.
You know what's amazing? When you watch the Bee Gees do How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? To me, I always thought it was by Al Green. How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? How Can You Stop the Rain from Falling Down?
Right.
One of the all-time, holy moly, transcendental songs. Like one of those we were talking about earlier, like bands live that they just take it over the top. You see Al Green doing How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? And you just look at the guy next to you, you're like, look, I'll suck your dick. This is crazy. I'll let you give me a hand job for that Police Synchronicity baseball jersey. But then you go, wait, the Bee Gees wrote that? And then you look at the Bee Gees version, and it's humiliating. It's really bad.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Bee Gees lived hard. I think they wrote hard. They wrote a lot of shit.
No, they did. They were, you know.
So Thin Lizzy, I'm going to make another list. I like this. And, you can hashtag Jim Florentine, overrated, let's just keep it underrated. Underrated metal bands, underrated metal. That's the hashtag. How's that?
That's good, yeah.
At Mr. Jim Florentine, at JMohr37. And also rate and review the podcast, Mohr Stories. And that helps us actually move up. I don't know how it works, but apparently the more people rate and leave a comment, that actually helps your podcast move up iTunes. They just sense movement and they like it and they bump you
really?
up.
Oh, cool. That's good.
So underrated. You know what? I'm going to, no matter what anyone else says next in this room, I'm putting Thin Lizzy number 1, no questions asked.
I can go with that. I'll take that.
You know I'm going to put number 2, who you think already has all the cred, but they don't. And little Jimmy will be very happy about this. If Jimmy Norton's going to be happy, who am I going to say?
Black Sabbath.
I don't think people realize how much they put shit upside down. Like, they had everyone convinced they actually had worshipped the devil, and they just played right into it.
They totally did. They totally wrote, in the 70s and rode that wave. Like, oh, really? You think we're Satanists? All right, fine, whatever. And everybody was rebelling back then, and they were putting out unbelievable music. It was nobody could touch them.
Who's the drummer for Sabbath?
Bill Ward.
From listening to Sabbath on my shuffle, I keep going, who the fuck is this drummer? He's incredible for the time, especially.
John Bonham was a better drummer than Bill Ward, but Bill Ward was very close.
I've had this discussion a lot, or by a lot, I mean like more than once, maybe twice. And I was always like, yeah, Keith Moon. And someone, I forget who it was like way too undisciplined, went off the reservation too much. Bonzo's the guy.
Yeah, Keith Moon was a little sloppy. He was good, and he was a great showman and stuff like that. And he was no slouch. I give him a 7.5 on a scale of 1 to 10. Keith Moon as a drummer, so he's no slouch, but he was a little sloppy and more of a showman. He was fun to watch.
And Bonzo, John Bonham, you give what?
If not a 10, 9.75. I give him a 10 for what he did, the way he pounded those drums, and just
And his offbeats are
unbelievable.
Are really neat. I'm trying to think. And happiness is what you need so bad. What song is that? Down and down, down and down, down and down.
Living, Loving, Made.
No, come on, Florentine. You're the fucking metal guy.
Isn't it? That's what it's called. It's on Zeppelin 2.
It's not Living, Loving, Made. Hit pause, Angie. Oh, look it up. Happiness is what you need so bad. Wow. Minute we did it, way up high in the sky.
All right.
Thank you.
You got me.
What is and what shall never be. Bonzo on that it's absurd. And there's a lot of kick drum business happening. All right. So Sabbath, do you think they're underrated?
I don't know if they're underrated because
forget you ever met Jim Norton, because Jimmy will walk in and go, "Nice to meet you, Sabbath."
I'm just as big a fan as with Sabbath than Norton. With Norton, me and him are neck and neck with that. So I don't know if they're underrated. They were for a while, and now I think Metallica pretty much goes, look, if it wasn't for Sabbath, there'd be no Metallica. And then every band's pretty much, taking the blueprint from Sabbath. The metal bands. The hard rock bands did with Zeppelin, but the
Those
metal
are the bands. I'm talking about the guy on the street thinks Black Sabbath, Ozzy, bit the head off a bat. That's where his thought ends.
Yeah, that's true. And they only heard Iron Man, Paranoid.
I got in my iPod right now in my truck. I was listening to it today, actually. I have the demo of War Pigs, 1970. And I'm like, this is bananas. There's like 3 different parts. And it's incredible.
That's the one thing with Sabbath. They always had like 2 great songs in one song. Like, you could have taken that one part and just made it another song. That's how good they were, and nobody was doing that back then.
I was hosting BlizzCon at the Anaheim Convention Center, and I'm out in front of like 15,000 gamers. People come from South Korea. It's all the people that play like World of Warcraft and stuff. And I literally am on stage, and I keep looking down, and written on the floor is Suicide Solution, Mr. Crowley, War Pigs, Paranoid, and I'm like, I can't figure out what this, and then I go over to the other side of this huge stage, it's Anaheim Convention Center, a stage like if you saw like a concert, way too big for a guy doing jokes about video games. And then I realized, oh my God, this is a set list. Ozzy must have been here last night. And then I get off stage and I said, was Ozzy here last night and you guys forgot to pull the set lists? They go, no, he's here tomorrow night for BlizzCon. And he goes on at 7:00. And I go, okay, but what time does he really go on? And they go, oh, no. Sharon's got him wired. 7:00, the lights, not 7:01. At 7:00, Ozzy will walk. If he's taking a shit, she'll pull him off the toilet and put him on stage. And he's done at 8:15. Like, it's an airtight ship. War Pigs was number 2 on the set list.
Oh.
So Mr. Crowley was 1, and I don't give a shit about Mr. Crowley. And I
Right.
realized I'm staying the Anaheim Convention Center is attached to the hotel. You just got to go across the parking lot. And I realized, okay, if he goes on stage at 7, if I leave my room at 7 and walk, I'm going to hear the closing notes of Mr. Crowley, and then I'm going to hear War Pigs, and then I'm going to go home. Because that's all. I'm not going to wait an hour to hear Paranoid. So, and exactly, Jim, I swear to God, Jim Florentine, at Mr. Jim Florentine on Twitter, hashtag underrated metal. That's the game we're going to play. I walked in, and it was like, thank you, everybody, for Mr. Crowley. And then it was literally, he went into War Pigs, and I lost my shit. You would have thought someone injected me with adrenaline, like one of those heart shots from like a Tarantino movie where it just went batshit crazy. I'm not going to sing the fuck. I've sang too many songs tonight poorly. But he did War Pigs, squirted the audience with foam out of like a gun.
Yeah.
And then Jim kept yelling at them, stand the fuck up and clap your hands! And I remember standing there going, why can't we do that as comics? Fucking laugh!
Louder!
Laugh, you guys are lame as shit! Denver's way better than this town.
I know they do that. Speaking of which, there's a big controversy because a singer from Queensryche told this audience at a festival, you guys suck. And now he's getting all this shit. It was broadcast on TV. And I'm like, I tell the crowds that half my crowds, I tell them, like, you guys suck. What the fuck is going on here? Relax. A comic could do it. They don't go, just everybody's so pissed that guy did that. I get it.
Are you a Jane's Addiction fan?
I like some of the stuff, yeah.
It's like they're probably my favorite. Bad Brains, Jane's Addiction. I love the Stones, obviously, and Beatles. But I remember I used to collect, like a crazy person, Jane's Addiction bootlegs. And that's all I would listen to on the subways of Manhattan. And I had one, and I swear to God, the one item I've ever owned that I regret not having anymore, it was them live in Ottawa, and WWF at the time, it was F. Wrestling was across the street.
Yeah.
Like they were in like a club that holds like 1,000 people, and literally Randy Macho Man Savage is fighting Hulk Hogan across the street. And this whole show, he's got the flu, and he just decides to just never take off the echo button. So he's talking to the crowd. He goes, all I can say for you people sitting up there is you look ridiculous. Like he's just talking shit the whole time, and he's sick. And then about halfway through the concert, they play Ted Just Admit It, and he's introducing like, that's Dave Navarro, and over here on the guitar, the bass, that hard charger himself. He has a little dick, but all he needs, he's obviously so fucking whacked out on whatever.
Right.
All he needs to do is tickle your clits, right, ladies? Eric Avery. And then, of course, is, Stephen Perkins on drums. And just, there's probably 100 people in this giant space, and it's very obvious in the recording.
Right.
And they just left it all. They didn't change their show. Like, it made them better and more insane. And after he introduces the whole band, all 4 of the guys, there's just this weird pause, and you just hear one guy in the corner go, woo! And then an echo. And to this day, it gives me goosebumps. He just goes, I'm sure you're all thrilled. Coming down the mountain. They just stopped the song and went in.
Wow.
And that cynicism, like, what are we doing here? This is the worst gig we've ever done. Just him going, I'm sure you're all thrilled. Made me very happy.